Hi everyone, welcome to Tech Down Over, a show about tech, audio, video, photo, gear. Two guys who just like to talk, and we usually have a guest. Today we don't have a guest, or if we do, we're not calling him or her because I don't have any guest information. So if you are a guest and you're watching wondering where we are, we're sorry, but Jacqueline left us, and she did a really good job of keeping everybody straight and together, and we're trying, sort of. We're getting it sort of together, but we've all been busy, and I haven't had too much time to get into too much this week. But hopefully, we didn't let anybody down today. I think we had a couple of possible people, but they didn't confirm. So I think we're okay. But next to me is Jeff Blanchard, our co-host, good friend, and feeling better. He had a bad cold for about a week, or maybe two almost, right?
Nearly two.
Yeah, that's tough. And it's cold in Australia. What are you like? 50s?
Yeah, well, I don't know what that relates to in Celsius, but I think it is about 10 or 11 degrees top temperatures. So
probably
still not bad compared to a European or a Chicago winter or something like that.
Well, yeah, they're in the minus, in the zeros. You're probably somewhere around 11, probably about 40s?
Yeah, and then when we get really cold, when it goes to about, say, the 40s, we think we're dying because it's freezing to us. But
it's like California. It gets under 60 and people just are wearing fur coats. It's just odd.
It's just what you get used to. Anyway, it's always good to catch up, even we don't have a guest, but I quite often like sometimes just having a chat anyway.
Sure. And hey, guess what? We have an intro. Here we go.
Yeah.
We are back. Yeah. We're not buying too much stuff right now, so they say. But I've been buying a couple of little things. This all goes towards the year-end budget, what we have to do for tax purposes. So we just thought a little bit early this year, just to throw our sales rep at Sammy's off. I just said, hey, here's a couple of He's like, huh? What? How are you doing that? But actually, one of these things we didn't get from him because they didn't have it in stock, so I got it from B&H. We both like our Panasonic cameras. They're very good cameras. I have the Panasonic GH4, which is like a mini DSLR, mirrorless. Actually, DSL-M is really what it is. It's got no mirror. But anyway, let me start with a couple of things here. This is my new camera bag. Now, this is only when you want to go on your own and you have a couple of things you want to carry. It's not very large, but it's it can be on the thick side. This thing carries a refrigerator worth of stuff. It is the Think Tank Retrospective 40. I believe it's the 40. As I hit the mic, let me stand up so I can actually show what it's doing while I'm talking. This should be good. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, just a headless body.
Okay. You good? Okay.
Yeah.
So, here you go. This is the Perception. Here's some stuff in there. So what you're seeing here is, I can just grab in here. Ta-da. This is the
camera.
GH4. Now the GH4 right now, I've got the Sigma 50 millimeter on. I can do this to make it look better.
Always looks better with the
yes, I know. So this is
shield on it.
So this is the 50 millimeter Sigma. But wait. This is a Canon mount. There's more. Right here. Let me take this off. That's not the GH4 mount. It's about maybe an inch big. That is the new Metabones Speed Booster .64X. 647 crop factor. This thing is incredible. This thing gives you one more stop of light. So this is an f1.4 lens. It's probably putting us somewhere in the 0.9 or 0.8 range. That's like the Voigtlander lenses, which basically just live to eat light. And with this, you can go full wide aperture and just use your shutter to tighten it up a little bit. You don't need very much ISO at all, probably 100 at most. And you can take pictures that like I've never seen before. These look as good as what I had on the D810, what they look like on the D750. I mean, it's amazing. That's with Nikon, not to mention on my Canon cameras. It's just incredible. This 50 millimeter is a very good full frame lens. And on this GH4 right now, it looks almost as good, if not as good, as some of the other full frame cameras I've got. They said it basically makes the GH4 an APS-C Super 35 sensor. This is a small sensor. It's a micro four thirds. It's about an inch sensor, a little bit bigger than an inch. So this, in essence, makes it a lot bigger. It's like double the size of what it normally is, or maybe 3 times as much. It's pretty incredible what they've done. Actually, we have like a little slideshow we can show, right? So we're going to go into my SmugMuck account, and we'll show you some of the pictures. I took all of these the first day I got it, pretty much late afternoon, maybe about 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, right before the sun started setting. These are all wide open. F1.4, no neutral density filter on. I've got the Tiffin variable ND for this. I did not have it on. The details are pretty incredible. This is all handheld too, and this is not a stabilized lens. I mean, they're not the most exciting shots. So some of them are okay, but the clarity of the shots is what I'm really looking at here. The clarity, and sometimes when you see textures, it was very bright. The sun was just beating down, and it doesn't really look like. And I think here we're probably getting a little bit darker. I put the lights on. It just has very good texture. The GH4 has always been a pretty good photo camera anyway. This just adds to it. And I did take some videos as well, and the videos look really clean. Look at the sky and all that. The colors. I mean, I'm getting gradients I never really got before. If we zoomed in, we're not zooming in now, but if you could zoom in on the bushes and you just see a lot of detail.
And the thing is, well, on YouTube, sometimes you can't see it as clearly, but I've seen some of the shots and they're really quite clear.
Yeah, this is YouTube, properly. So we're going through several compressions. He showed some of them. There's a whole mess of them, but it's just amazing what you can get out of just this. It's a $649 adapter, and it literally will convert a GH4 or any mirrorless camera for that matter, or any of the ones supported. They don't really tell you which ones are supported. It says it's for select micro four thirds. Well, which select? You'll have to find that out after you buy it.
That's just the disclosure statement. And most well, we never said your model.
We didn't say
number.
Yours was. So, yes. But the quality of this, and the GH4 is still infinitely a very well ergonomically designed camera. So putting on a heavy lens like this is almost a 2-pound lens or a 1.5 pound lens. It's not light. Still feels good. I have not yet tried the 70-200 Tamron on it. I'll be doing that tonight. These are Canon mounts.
I was just going to say they're Canon E mounts, is it?
It's the Canon EF mount for the...
EF mount, yeah.
I think it's EF. EFS. You have the EFS and then the... EFS and EF are the same mount, but this only supports EF lenses. So if you have an EFS lens, you're out of luck. But that's okay because the EF lenses are actually better. They let more light in. They're bigger. I think this is a 77 millimeter front. It's got quite a big lens on it. But in this bag, because that came out, now I've got some other little goodies. Here's my neutral density filter. So that's going to come out. But wait, there's more. That's my 35 millimeter lens. This is the IS lens. I'm going to put it back in only because I don't want to get the table so full of stuff I can't get anything out of it. Oh, there's another camera in here. I forgot to tell you. This is my Panasonic WX 991K. This is a pretty good 4K camera. It's a small sensor, but it does a pretty good job. I think it's almost an inch sensor, not quite. It does a pretty good job, and it's a cool little camera.
They're always good to have those video cameras because they don't take up much room, and the ideal thing is that it can sit on benches. They can do anything. You don't need a tripod for them, so they're really good to just have in the bag.
40 millimeter pancake lens. It's got a step motor in it, so it's a pretty good little autofocusing lens. I'll put that back. There's nothing else in there. Lens cleaner or blower.
Little blower.
Yep. So this is all in just the inside of this bag, and I haven't really filled it that much. You could actually put a lot more in here. So I've seen people put up to 3-4 bodies of DSLRs in this thing, and they fit. I've got some other attachments here as SD cards. You never know when you might need more.
Now that Panasonic camera, the video camera, does that have a direct HDMI output?
It
so
does.
You can use that for your webcam as well? Or?
It actually does. You could.
And it just doesn't have a separate mic input though, does it?
Yeah, it does.
It does. It does have a separate mic
I believe
input,
it does. Haven't used it, but I think you can put like a Rode video mic or something on it. There's a zipper here, if you notice, as I'm opening this, and that's where I'm putting all my batteries. There's about 7 batteries in here right now. I don't know if you could see that, but
Yeah, I can see. Yeah.
you can see. Okay. So those are those compartments. That's what I have inside this thing at the moment. Oh wait, more media.
And there's more.
This is a media holder. There's probably about 10 SD and CFast cards in there. And then here in the front, this is just a little assorted devices, lens cleaners, USB, dongle, a pen for cleaning, lens cap in case you lose one. So that's just in the front. And you always need a microphone when you travel, right?
Oh yes.
So here's the Rode video mic. It fits perfectly in there.
It's not that big a bag really, is
No.
it? It's got everything you need
And
in
it's so comfortable, and the material is like a nice fabric. It's just a really nice bag. And on the back, let me move this a little bit. So move it this way. And now you've got another. Can you hear me now? Oh,
Yeah.
sorry. So there's more stuff in here. I've got some cleaners, just some small things. All this, I think I've got a white balance card somewhere in here. But all this in one little bag that doesn't weigh anything. You can run it across your chest like a messenger, put it on your shoulder, hold it by the handle, any which way you want. It is comfortable. And it doesn't really stand out as much of anything. It's a pretty simple bag. So I'm very happy with this. I've looked at quite a few bags, and I bought another one that's really popular, but I thought it was just more trendy than good. I found it pretty useless. It had a zipper in the front so you could pull a camera out. Yeah, a very small camera, not with a battery grip on it. I mean, this thing has a battery grip, and it still fits in here.
And that's what I like with those bags with just the big floppy tops, because it's easy to open and get out. And some people say, but the stuff might fall out. Well, no matter what
It won't.
It won't. And as I said, if it's going that bad, you're in trouble anyway, no matter what the top is.
And it's got
if you've got it upside
Velcro
down doing that.
and everything else. So, I mean, this Velcro holds. Here we go.
Yeah.
Velcro
And
is
plus,
on.
these bags are designed for you to be carrying and walking around, and not to be thrown into the your luggage check-in and that. It's
Right.
to be carried with you. And they said if you've got it upside down, well, you're the fool carrying it upside down.
Right. And so the only things you saw that I purchased recently are the 50 millimeter Sigma, which you just saw. It's a good lens. It really is sharp. It's very clear, pretty quiet. I have to get the right focusing when I do video on the GH4 because it can be noisy sometimes as you're moving around. And I'm almost tempted in the GH4 with video to probably, if I have an interview target, just do manual focus and then just leave it there. Because if they're not moving, next week we're going to go film at Bistro 13. We're going to film Giovanni, the owner over there.
Oh, yes.
We're going to film him on an interview and then put it up on YouTube. It'll be like a Life Edge show.
Oh, say hello for me because I'll remember him, Jivat, and his
I will.
theatre.
Yeah.
Nice fella.
He is, and he's going to have a new show on some either on TV or YouTube where he's going to show cooking and how he does things. It should be fun. And so I'll probably bring that gear out. So pretty impressed with that speed booster. I didn't buy the original one. It didn't look like it did much of anything, and I wasn't that desperate to put Canon lenses on the GH4. But with this thing, I can take advantage of I've got about 6 Canon lenses, or maybe 7, and they all, from what I've tested so far, almost every one of them works perfectly. I haven't tested all of them yet,
and that's a great thing, though. That's what I'm looking for, though. I want to go for the GH5 if it ever comes out. I'm just making this up. I don't know whether there is a GH5.
There is, supposedly.
But that's the one I'm wanting, because I've got the FZ1000, which I love that, but it's just one of those bridge cameras, isn't it? You said with the attached lens on it.
Yeah.
But for the way the Panasonic work and how easy it is to handle all the functions on it, it's one of the best cameras I think I've used to actually use it manually as well. So if I can get a GH5 and put my Canon lenses on it, then it does the best thing. And well, you can mount anyway. You can go with all the Sigmas and the Tamrons and that.
Yeah.
And by the looks of that, it said it would do the best of both worlds then.
It does, and that way you don't lose your investment in Canon. Also, the Canon 5D Mark IV looks like it's going to be coming out soon. They're announcing it imminently. That's kind of exciting because all the rumors are right now that it will have 4K.
Yep.
That it will be a good quality 4K, not 10-bit color, but 8-bit is fine. I mean, we're not doing cinema here. This is more for business or for YouTubing or whatever you do. So for a corporate shooting camera, it should be perfect. There were some other things that they said that the sensor will probably stay the same, maybe a little bit bigger. They don't know if it's going to be a 24 megapixel or it might even go higher.
Pardon me.
Or they might do something really interesting and go lower for higher night shots. That'll be very interesting. I don't know.
I heard from Petapixel that the other day it was 30 megapixel.
30. Okay.
Because I said that he was mentioning about that said you stay low for the lower light, but it's just the marketplace. People, because it's been that for years.
Yep.
If they didn't increase it, it would lose the point. And I think they're probably right, because everybody's wrapped up in megapixels these days.
Right, which is funny because that doesn't really mean that much. So it'll be interesting to see what they actually come out with. But the lenses should work. They said they're going to come out. They think pricing will be between 3 and 4. That's a little hefty because right now, I mean, you can buy a Mark III for about $2,500 or even less right now, which isn't bad for body only. It'll be interesting. That may be the last camera I buy in a long time because at that point I don't think I need anything new. The only 2 cameras I want at this point are the GH5 when it comes out and the 5D Mark IV. And other than that, I'm pretty happy. I'm just not that enthralled about the Sonys. Well, partly because I think they feel like crap. They're so small. It's big hands. I'm like yucky. Doesn't appeal to me. It's too tight.
Well, because it's not always the quality of the things; it's how you perceive using them as well.
Yep.
It's the Canon do have that better feel to them, the proper DSLR, and like the Sonys, and they do a great job. But like you said, it is in a smaller body. It suits a lot of people.
Yep.
But I still think the proper DSLR just feels better. It is heavier, it is stronger, but it's much easier to hold.
Doesn't overheat.
Take a picture with it. No, it doesn't overheat, and your batteries last quite
for days,
don't they?
That alone irritates me because my Panasonic GH4 with 2 batteries in it, I get a full day. I get 8 or 9 hours of shooting time. That's a lot of shooting time. With a full day, I would probably need 8 batteries minimum from Sony. Everybody I've talked to said you get about an hour. That's not cool. So I don't get that.
Well, that's why when you buy one of their cameras, they supply 2 batteries. How many other cameras supply 2 batteries? None of them do they?
Yeah, but they don't give you a battery grip.
No.
So, I get, yeah.
Hey, did you hear, one of the things about the drones that are out there in the marketplace one of the things people didn't like about them, because they're flying around and they can be spying on people in their backyards. And one of the things everybody's been able to console themselves with is that they don't have any zoom capabilities. It's fairly wide angle.
Yeah.
But now do you see DJI has got one now with 3 times optical and 2 times digital zoom.
Interesting.
On that. But having said that, they've got that with their camera, which will cost the new camera about $899 if you want to update the camera. But of course, when somebody else does that, it's like there's always something else better. There's this new one called Walkera announces their drone. It's around about the $4,000 mark, I think it would, but it copies that DJI Inspire. But
okay.
This one's going to have a 16 times zoom.
Wow.
On that. I thought nobody will be safe on that one. It is, I must say, I don't think it's 4K. I think it's a 1080p.
Okay. But there is one issue with the zoom when you're flying something. It will distort where you're flying unless you know exactly where you're at. It's a little riskier. I wonder if they have like 2 cameras, one for the pilot and one for what you're actually shooting, because if you're zooming in while you're flying, you may be hitting something sooner than you think because it's either too close or too far from you.
Hey, here's another thing with that one that's changed the boundaries. In most of the drones, you roughly get probably maybe a mile's distance out of it.
Right.
With the Wi-Fi network it has on it. This one incorporates the 4G phone network, so you can technically control anywhere in the world.
That's going to make the CIA really irritated because now you're muscling into their territory. I don't know about that.
Because they'll just have to have somebody put the drone somewhere, and then somebody overseas can do it, because that's what they said. Be careful, because it's totally against FAA rules to do it remote control from, I think, a certain distance and that.
Interesting.
But people who do the wrong things don't care about rules, do they?
No, that would be politicians. Yes.
But I thought that was really great to see different things happening in the drone market. But I don't know about you, but I'm over them. I just really don't want to get one of them.
I was never that much into them, but you're right. I'm over them totally. It's overkill. Everybody's doing the same exact shot everywhere. So after a while, you go, okay, well that's cute. And you know what's going on? They're all filming B-roll everywhere, so you can find anything you actually needed to shoot. Yeah. So.
And they're only doing why people like the quality and all that is because it's something you don't usually see. But I thought there's so many people doing that. Just concentrate on doing things on the ground, and things like the old Osmo. I like that better because that's much better for just going around, just making videos on the ground and that. So
and the Osmo does a good job. It's actually pretty cool.
And I had it on the bike, and if you go fast, people think you're using a drone anyway. I've done that with the chasing.
There goes Jeff. He just flew off a cliff. Whoa.
That's right. Just doing that there as well. So,
actually, it's amazing. That one you did with the bike and you're on rough ground and you can't tell.
No.
It's so cool. I mean, and you were like almost on train track, just bouncing. And the drone, I mean, not the drone, but the Osmo is just perfectly still.
And the only way you can tell if you listen to the onboard recording, when I was listening, I thought, oh my God, this is going to be horrible. Because all you can hear, and you can't, it was horrible. But the picture was so steady, but it's good to see with that amount of noise and that's going on, it keeps it so steady.
So you need to actually get a stabilizer for you next time. So you're sitting there bouncing, but you're still, just the bike is bouncing. That'd be kind of cool.
Well, it's like traction control for a push bike or something like they do on the cars. And
but what is it? The air ride on the big trucks?
I'm just getting a bit frightened. If years down the track, we have so many things automatic on that, we just won't be able to do anything. Like we won't be able to ride a bike unless we have an electronics stabilizer control that stops people from falling off and hurting themselves and suing the manufacturers.
Yeah, soon they'll come out with full body armor so you don't get to hurt or scrape your elbow or anything. It's like, yes, the nanny state is just a wonderful thing.
Did you ever see, I don't know, that comedy sketch thing where somebody fell off something and then they just blew up like a big sumo suit?
Hey, that sounds familiar.
Sort of like it was a personalized airbag. So when they fell over, it just exploded and were sort of encased in a big ball to protect.
And afterwards you hear, the nanny state won. You, zero.
Yes, well, yeah, you can't do anything these days.
No,
So,
no, it's almost ridiculous. The human race has survived pretty well for hundreds of thousands of years or whatever. But now the nanny state has to tell you how to breathe, wash your teeth, do this, do that, because you can't do it on your own.
and you were saying before with, showing some of your images on Smug Hug and that, and you take a lot of your own pictures. I was seeing there was some controversy about Getty Images and, the photos that they've been using. I just wanted to ask a question. If you go to one of these stock sites and use one of their photos and pay them and that, what happens if they haven't done the right thing and got the correct rights? Are you liable for it?
They're liable, not you. At that
So
point, they're liable. Though I don't know, when you sign that contract as you check out, maybe you're liable. I don't know.
But
Good
like
point.
they said it's always good use your own damn images. But there's a case there at the moment that somebody's suing them, and it's quite funny though. I don't think the photographer would have known anybody was using them except they sued them saying you're using so many images without permission. They said, "Well, they're my images."
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
around the other way. So that's a bit of a worry, isn't it? So,
Yeah, it's interesting.
but that's the thing. And we was talking about the other week. You upgraded for Wirecast 7.
Yes.
Have you had a look at that yet?
I played a little bit with it. It's okay. So far, I'm not that impressed, but I haven't really jumped into it that hard. It couldn't seem to find certain cards I had. I was a little surprised. I had the Magewell card. Couldn't find it. So I'm thinking I just needed to reboot, but at the time I didn't have any time. Everything else found the Magewell, no problem. So I'm wondering how it didn't find it, because it doesn't use anything funny. It comes in as a webcam. It should have seen it with no issue at all. It sees my Logitech webcam. I need to test out on devices how well it works. I find the interface okay. It's a little dark. I don't mind the dark. Some of the stuff is a little small, but okay. Quality seems good. I still think vMix looks and feels better, but I need to work with it. I need to actually jump in and see if how well they're doing. I still don't think they have the power that vMix has. Maybe in some things they're better, but not in all things. vMix is amazing what they've done. They keep pushing the boundary of what you can do, and it's great. And now Wirecast runs on Macs and Windows, which vMix doesn't. But I don't know. I think the Macs are becoming irrelevant for streaming. They're not that fast. And for streaming, most people are not using Macs. They're probably using PCs because they're way, way faster. You got more memory, you got more speed, faster boards, faster processors, way faster video cards. On an iMac, you get what they give you. The last one is what, a 4 gigabyte, whatever.
Yeah,
well, I just got an 8 gigabyte card, 8, for about $400, and it's fast. It's super fast. When's a Mac going to come out with an 8 gigabyte card? Probably no time soon. So that's why I'm just going, the Macs are fun. I actually did use my iMac for about a month recently, and it's back to the office pretty soon. I already took it down and put up a new workstation. They're just faster. The Windows machines just run circles around the Macs, and that's why.
Yeah, no, Macs are not renowned for the speed for things like that. But I was, with that Wirecast, what I was interested in is that the new, the mix minus feature on that.
Yeah, I haven't tried that yet. That would be curious to see how well that works, because that would be good.
Because that's what I want to find out before I upgrade, because that's one thing I would love to be able to do, is do that on a single setup and have a Skype signal in, because that's where you need it for, isn't it? If you've got a Skype on the same machine.
Yep, that's true.
So you don't have to have a separate machine in that. So.
Right, but of course, when you do have Skype on a machine, then you're creating a little more processor. Then if you're doing that on a Mac, I don't know, I wouldn't recommend it.
But can you still do that on, if you use that Mix Minus? I've got another Dell machine, use that as the desktop presenter machine, or not desktop?
You probably could, because the Mix Minus is only for audio.
Yeah. So I can use that as a separate source.
I would say
using the processor for the Skype.
I would believe so.
Because that's the only thing you can do that, but you can't do that wirelessly.
Right.
You must do that.
And they are
wired,
using NDI, so that's good. That's the network device interface, just like vMix. So that should speed up the whole desktop connection or desktop capture. So yeah, I mean, it looks good. I just haven't delved into it like I did on the old one. The old one, I almost like the way some of the settings were on the old one. This one, everything's sort of more in front of you, sort of. It's a little different. I just haven't played that much with it. I'll let you know probably soon. I'll probably play with it this weekend just to get more familiar with it. Now, talking not so much about streaming, but I have been playing a lot with DaVinci Resolve 12.5.
Oh, okay.
And you know, for a free video editor, color corrector, output, render, media manager, it's pretty darn good. I like the video editor. It reminds me a little bit of Sony Vegas in terms of some of the ease of use, power, quick timeline edits. I think they did a good job. And, you know, the price can't be beat. It runs on a Mac and Windows, so you don't lose your multi-computer if you want it, or if you only have a Mac. I like it. I think it's pretty cool. And the color correcting, I haven't seen anything as good yet. It's amazing what they do with color. It's really color grading at its best, and it's node-based, so you create different nodes, and if you don't like something, you can just get rid of a node versus having to undo the whole color thing. So very, very clever.
Well, I'll have to download that and give that a try. When do you ingest the media into it, or does it just refer to it?
No, well, it doesn't bring it into it. It refers to it, just like everybody else.
Oh, okay.
But you can ingest into it, and then, you know, but it's going to ingest onto a hard drive somewhere. But it's really nice. It actually does a really good job of editing. It's fast. I like it. I like the interface. I like it better than the Premiere interface in some ways. It's less cluttered. It just seems a little more organized.
Well, that's the thing is with Premiere Pro and a lot of them, they've got a million and one things to do, but even that, without knowing a bit more about it, without knowing how to use your custom desktop spaces and that, you sometimes just have too much on there.
Right.
And some people who just want to quickly get in there can just get a bit put off because it's just too much. And as you said, most of the things a lot of people do it's not too advanced, and you get used to it. You don't want to be too. All you want to do is get it nice, color graded, and a few cuts here and there, and then a few titles, and that's about it in most cases.
Well, one thing about video, no matter what you do, it's always linear.
That's right. And if you want anything special, you'll do. If you want effects and that, you'll be out in another package, create like After Effects, creating, taking things out and putting them in, and then you're only going to be editing them into the timeline. So I might give that a try, because it's always good to have different perspectives on different software.
Yeah, you might enjoy it. You might like it. I'm not the biggest Final Cut Pro fan. It's okay. I like the visual look of it, but I don't like the editing on the timeline. I think it's dog slow. For everything you can do in some tools, it takes 3 steps to do it in Final Cut, but it's nice looking. I don't know. I think Resolve might be better in some ways, and definitely I think pros might like it a little bit better. So I'm not sure, but I do like what I'm seeing so far, and it seems to do a good job. I've only played with it a little bit, but it can read MXF files, which also Final Cut can, but Premiere cannot. So with my XC10, I can't do anything with it with Premiere unless I transcode it first. Now that is a pain. But with Final Cut Pro and with Resolve, like that, reads it beautifully. So Premiere is slowly getting on my list of not interested. And
what's getting on my nerves, with not so much the product with Adobe, but it's more so now we've got the cloud and you've got constant updates. You no sooner figure out what ones get all the features down pat, then they change it all again.
I know.
Whereas before, at least you used to have about 18 months before anything major changed. But now with the cloud, it's great that you all get the updates, but somebody just shows you how to do something, and by the time you put it into practice, it's changed.
And they also don't really tell you clearly what the changes are.
No, if it said, on this issue, we've just fixed this or changed this, but it's quite a lot. It's good that we've already got this up-to-date software, but nobody's game enough to put books out or anything about it, because it's out of date. It's not worth doing it.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think the better plan for Adobe wouldn't be to do it the way they do it, which I think really sucks. Why don't you do a 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 product cloud? Then you only get the products you need, cafeteria style. that would, to me, would make more sense because I don't need half their products. They're a waste of money. And I'm hearing now that they've offshored the whole thing. Good luck, Adobe. I wish you a lot of luck. May you rest in peace. The quality is dropping everywhere. I am hearing problems and more bugs and more bugs. Yesterday, I was playing with, well, actually, I wasn't playing. I was actually recording something, testing a setup, and I did a 2 decibel in the Compander, which I use all the time.
Mm-hmm.
I upped the output. I was probably about -8, minus maybe 6, and I said I want to up it by 2 decibels. So I up it by 2, and I went as it exploded in my ears, and then I had to get out of Audition to get back in for it to work again. It never had bugs. Ever since our offshore friends got it, it's a mess. And I've had other problems with Audition, which I never had before. I'm getting crackling and popping I never had before. I'm getting all sorts of issues. And I talk to some other people, and they go, oh, yeah, it's not that good anymore. So thank you, Adobe, for caring so much about your costs and not your quality.
But also, as well, what drives it as well, people always wanting change. And if they sort of perfected a product, that'd be fine, but that's not good enough. We all want change, so we demand them to keep changing it. And with that, there's a lot of mistakes can be made, I suppose.
Yeah, but see, that's bad quality control. That's also no rigor in the engineering or programming. So why are you coming out with so many versions when your people don't know the products well? That's my complaint. So Adobe's sort of on my here we go again. They've had a bad quality history for a while, especially on offshored products. And from everything I've heard, they're totally offshored now. People are complaining. I have friends who go to the forums all the time, and they say that they're griping about Photoshop. Photoshop never crashed ever. Now it's crashing. I had a crash on me the other day. I did a calc. I forgot what I did. I did something, and it just gone. I'm just looking at my desktop. I went, memory leak. How cute. In today's day and age, memory leaks, you really shouldn't have them. They have software to test for memory leaks, and I don't know what they're doing. But these are software packages that were always solid, and now they're buggy. That's a bad sign. And all you need is a smart competitor, maybe Autodesk or somebody who's got enough money to say, hey, we can beat these guys now. Because if that's the kind of quality they're putting out, they should be easy to beat.
And there's so much software out there that is comparable to that. It's just it doesn't have the name. It's a bit like a lot of things. They survive a long time. Right. It's like a lot in the Canon cameras. They do a great product, but they probably would be greater than they are now if they just concentrated a little bit more on the things people wanted, like the 4K. But I think they've just said, no, we can still survive with that. Well,
you know what I've been hearing recently, and I agree totally. People are finally saying, we really don't need 4K. They don't. There are some 4K TVs, but there's very little, if any, 4K content. And frankly, really, the image is nice, but if you get a good 1080p, it's not that much worse. TVs will upscale the 1080p to 4K beautifully. You can't tell it wasn't shot in 4K usually. So, do you need a 4K camera? Oh, sure, it's great to have one. Do you need it? Not really. And if you're doing corporate video when your final result is 360p, what does it matter?
Well, and that's the thing is a lot of the time you'll have the 4K image, but you don't want to show it like that. You don't want that stark sharpness in your shots. And most films and that, they'll dumb it down to give it that film type look.
Right.
Because if you show it as it is, with the real top quality, it just looks fake.
I know.
And you don't want it. You want it to look like it's a real thing, but you'll just see that it's fake if the clarity is too much.
Yeah, that's sort of like when you look at the cinema cameras. What are they really doing? They're taking out all life in the picture, and then you go back and artificially put it in. You just kind of wonder sometimes.
Yes.
Because it's all flat profiles. You have no color. It's all gray, and then you have to just kind of add your contrast, add your brightness, try to figure out what colors are, or make colors your own. Okay, that gives you a cinematic look, but for corporate video, that's not very useful.
That's what sort of gets me when they use these flat profiles. I know it just means you have to work on every shot, but when you see how it's filming, you think, My goodness, they look like Dracula or something in there. It's
I
so
know.
dull and like half grey, and that the shot's in there.
Yeah.
But I did see one of the cameras. I don't know whether it was a Sony, but one of the Sonys is quite good. When you film in one of those flat profiles, it gives you the playback on the camera as the standard look that it will look like.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
So you don't get frightened by the horrible look that you're getting in the viewfinder, because it does look shocking, those flat profiles.
Well, I'll tell you, I don't have great eyes, and when I looked in the profile of the C100 in the viewfinder, it was so hard to distinguish what was going on there, because it was, and plus I was in a slightly darker room, so now you have gray in a dark room. I couldn't make anything out. So I'm looking for other profiles. There are no other profiles. You're only in cinema mode. And I went, and that's why I returned it. I didn't buy what we needed for what we do, which is more corporate video.
Yeah, and you do like I do. I like to film just in a standard color scheme, so I don't do much color correction in post anyway. It's only when you've got a couple of cameras that might film differently that you need to do it.
Yeah, and if you look at color,
most of the things you do, you don't really need to do much color grading.
No, and if you do look at color grading, what's the first thing they do? Contrast and brightness, and then gain. Those are the three main things in color grading, because you have to add your contrast because you can't see anything. Nothing has any sharpness to it. Then you add your brightness so that you can see it and make it look sharper. And the gain is how much, ISO, if you will, the image has. And then you start doing color changes or tweaks based on what you remembered or what you think or what you want. But first thing, contrast and brightness. And I've seen some really nice cinema stuff, but I've also seen some great stuff come out of cameras in just normal, standard, vivid, whatever, neutral formats, and they look beautiful. And you don't have to do much to it other than maybe tweak the contrast and brightness.
Well, I mean, like that Panasonic you showed before, you just look at the quality of that just out of the camera. It is excellent. The Panasonic do a really good job in their video cameras.
Yeah.
Did you notice that?
I do. They're sharp. They're bright. The color rendering is beautiful. They're good. The only thing I don't like about the Panasonics or any of the mirrorless that much is their focus sometimes is a little either too soft or it just doesn't quite grab as well. And then sometimes they're beautiful. To me, I find the focus a little unpredictable. And I know people who felt the same way. It's with the Canons, I know what I'm going to get. I rarely don't get what I think I'm getting. It's always exactly right on. With these, I'm a little nervous because it's never quite what I want sometimes. Sometimes I'll shoot something, the same settings, it looks great. I change the environment a little bit, maybe same settings, at least focus-wise, it should work well, and now I'm blurry. And it's like, why am I blurry?
But I still think it's it's this computer age that the cameras do the best with the auto-focusing, but it still is only a human can say in that frame without pointing, I want to focus in on that particular point.
Right.
And that still is a computer can't do that. Your Canons and that can have your single point focus, but you still have to point it at that. But if you want that to but if you don't see something in the corner of your eye that the camera will see it and it will focus in on that. And that's what I find.
And it
perfectly focusing on that, and it picks up on a branch in the top.
Oh, I know.
Right-hand
And you got this
corner.
beautiful branch that means nothing, but the rest of the image is blurry. It's great.
But then again, though, I find a much better results on auto than if you do manual, and I'll get 50% of them out of focus instead of 10%.
Now, on certain cameras like the 80D, the Panasonic GH4 and the other Panasonics, the FZ1000, the G8, and all those, is that you have touch focus. So as long as you press on some, as if you're in a fairly static mode, you can't do it for sports or anything, but it's pretty cool. You touch, and then you can even do the focus tracking or racking where you move it, and you could see the blur going from there to here, and it's really cool the way it can do that. But with the mainframes, you really not mainframes. Hello, mainframes. Back to IT days. I was having a PTSD moment. When you look at the full frame cameras, they really can't do that well. None of them have touch screens. No. Except, I guess the 1DX does, but I don't think it's available everywhere.
I forget where I saw that, but somebody was saying about equipment and that just gave this brand new piece of camera to, a young kid, and the first thing that they did was, I can't swipe it, I can't pinch it.
I know.
And they said, so no matter what you think, that's what this generation is all about. If you give them a screen that they can't touch, that's what it's all about. It's like, so what? I've got to push a button. I've got to click a menu item to get there and do that. Why can't I just touch it?
Well, it's funny. The Sonys of all things, they have no touch screens, or very few.
No.
At the low end, I think they have a couple.
Very menu driven, which would help it a lot, wouldn't it, if the touch screen?
Yeah, and their menus are very little cumbersome. They're not terrible, but they're cumbersome. And no touch screen. So and they barely tilt.
About 50 settings for everything. They do a lot, but when you do a lot on a camera, there's got to be a lot of menus to navigate through.
And you only have a 1 hour battery. If you're in the menu too long, your battery drops in no time.
Well, that's what I think people don't realize with the mirrorless cameras, that whereas the DSLRs don't have that problem. Even when you're looking through the viewfinder, that's a little monitor that's going all the time.
Right, but the viewfinder is sort of useless on a DSLR because you have no idea what you're seeing. I mean, you see what you're seeing, but you have no idea what the camera's seeing because you don't see when you change your aperture or anything else. So to me, the viewfinder is useless. You almost have to look at your live view, then go, okay, I think I got it. Then you might look at your viewfinder once you have it, but you don't really see what you're getting. And to me, I don't understand why DSLRs don't have electronic viewfinders at this point, because the whole idea of a DSLR viewfinder is useless today. I mean, to me.
But still even then, without one, it does give you days and days worth of batteries because it chews up very, very little power in that.
Yep.
And it just amazes me. I remember when I had my Canon, was it the AE1, the old film camera? Yeah. And I used to get some damn good shots out of that, and you never ever saw anything until you got it back from the processing thing. And you think, nowadays, you think, how did I ever get that where out of 36 shots I might get a couple of horrible ones? Which if I take 36 shots now on a digital camera, I can guarantee probably about 20 of them will be horrible.
Yeah, and you had no idea what your aperture was or anything. You used light meters and other things to kind of figure it out. It was interesting.
And like when I use them, it's strange. When I used to use it better and I didn't know much about the camera, but with the things to make it do, you just got a picture. You did got the light meter in the middle. You did this, and then it was doing all the right things. You got good shots out of it. But with this, that's what the electronic and automatic is doing now. But as I said, if you just depend on that, well, you probably don't need one of these good cameras because even the cheapest ones on automatic does about the same thing anyway.
I know. And like they said, use automatic to learn what settings the camera is doing. So when you actually try to figure out manual, you have something to guide you. Cameras aren't too bad. They're pretty good at most of it, except when they get confused on focus or what to focus on.
And then also as well, yes, you can have a nice clear shot. That's what the auto says. But sometimes you want a different look. No, I want that to be blurry and out of focus. I want it to the light not to be quite so good. It all depends what you're looking for in the photograph for yourself, because it's like the nice, clear, perfect shots is not what everybody's after. A bit like art. Some people like just these brush strokes with just a line through it. But if you do a nice portrait with a nice, clear thing, it's just not needed anymore.
No, that's true.
All depends what you're after.
Yep. Well, Jeff, we are at the end of our time. I think we've gone about 50 minutes already.
Yes, that goes quick.
It does.
Just as well we didn't have a guest because we keep talking.
That's true. The guest kind of inhibits us, I guess. No. Well, anyway, next week I think we have a guest. If I recall correctly, I'll have to take a look. And then we're off for a couple of weeks till right after Labor Day. Though if we have some shows, we can do one. If anything comes up, we can try to do a show.
Yes.
But I figure we'll definitely take a couple of weeks off between like the last week of August and Labor Day because nobody's around. Everybody's on vacation. So it should be good. So I'm going to do some filming this weekend, and I think we're going to go maybe this weekend to the 3rd Street Promenade. I'm just going to film with the GH4 and see what kind of results I get where there's a lot of people and, See if
You know
the,
what? I did that on the Third Street Promenade, just opposite. What's that ice cream place that you call Ben and Jerry's? Is it?
yeah, I think so.
Yeah, just opposite Ben and Jerry's. There was a bench there, and I just sat the cannon there and just started filming. Just sat it on the bench.
Yep.
And you get some good shots there, just people passing by and all that.
Yeah.
It's really good. So.
Yeah, because I want to see how it focuses with so much action. To see how well it does with getting confused. I have to probably take face tracking off and tracking so it doesn't hold on to anybody.
But it's a good area to do that, and you're close by to the Santa Monica Pier and that, so to go down there. And there's always good to get some good shots down there.
Should be fun. Well, anyway, Jeff, you have a great weekend. You're in your weekend already.
Yes, that's right. Yes, so after this, take the dog out for a walk. I don't know. You saw him halfway through the show. He walked in behind me and was going out. And he decided to go and lay down. So.
No, I'm seeing something else.
No, he's gone back in his basket to sleep.
Downstairs or behind you?
No, here. He just went behind me and went back again, but he decided he'll go back to sleep. So.
Okay, that's good for him. It's a rough life. It's a dog's life.
Yes, that's right.
Well, have a good one, Jeff, and we'll see you next week. And if you're watching the show, please subscribe and give us your feedback. We'd like hearing from you. If you have any subjects, topics, or things you'd like us to review, let us know. We will make an effort to do so. Have a good one, everyone. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye for now.